Cybernation Uncensored.
Yeah, no, I realize the error of my ways here. Let me do a little something here. Let me add some sound. How about that? There we go. We should have some sound now. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know things are a little thin today, but we just have a few of us present. So going around the table, we'll start with. I guess we'll start with Jim, kind of, and then we'll go around the table.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, you put it all on me right now. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Hi, I'm Jim. I played Detective Tequila on Eddies and Elflines and Cyberpunk Shanghai, and it's really great to be here. This is my first ever show stream that I've been a part of in a long time, so I've had a real fun time with everybody so far.
Sasha.
Right, Sasha, I played, Gamer Girl, or Veronica. I'm currently playing Demon, and I'm excited to bring in my new character when this group, runs their course.
And also, of course, a long time since we've seen him, Ak.
Hello, my name is Raven. You can find me at Cybernation Uncensored. We're running the night, but with this lovely group and very talented individuals, I got the opportunity to play Emilio Brighton, your asshole lawman with a heart of gold. I wasn't around the campaign too much, but I definitely got to, help out a little bit while Tequila was off gallivanting in Shanghai. But to also mirror what Jim said, this was, first opportunity to be something part of, a little smaller, more intimate like this. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys today. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. We may not go the full 3 hours today, chat, but some things that we're going to be looking at today. This is one of my first organized groups that wasn't on my channel, because for those of you who know who I am, it's an Ezra.
I'm sorry. I just noticed. We're not streaming today, are we?
We're
live. If you want to hang out, you can. If not, it's totally fine. Oh, nice. But yeah, of course, if you want to introduce yourself to chat.
Perfect timing, man.
Yeah.
Who you?
Yeah, sorry. I'm Nick. I knew that we were kind of having an off session today. I forgot that we were meeting to discuss some things, but I'm sort of around, sort of working and whatever.
No,
so I'm here.
It's all right.
Yeah. You don't need to be here the whole time. You just kind of hang out. If you want.
I might take off in a little bit. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
I guess I wasn't planning on being here today.
Yeah. Basically, today it was just so that way, we still made contact with the fan base. But on top of that, we are going to be just kind of looking at this. As some of you guys do know, I was, I do run, Cyberpunk stuff over on, my channel. But, I'm over here also. And this was the first time I've actually did a ttrpg with strangers. Like I had only the only person I knew coming into this whole thing was Sasha, up there, the cat, and that's also just because Sasha happened to be in like every other tabletop game I have ran, hosted, or been in. I think since we've met. I think except for like one, but I gotta say I think I think this group was a pretty solid success, and I guess one of my big highlights with this group though is just seeing like the evolution of each of the characters from where they first started. Like, you know, of course, starting off with Tequila, who, you know, burnt out cold case detective. Now, some high riding hotshot that's got favors with Interpols and, well, the PD.
Yeah, like Tequila was and still is meant to be a pastiche on, you know, the 80s and 90s super cop, you know, the cop that can't be stopped. You know, flying through the air, shooting two guns, all that stuff, and just with a little flair of me, and he has evolved into his own beast.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, he had like low humanity at the start, and then it continued to drop, and then it came back up, and I don't. I think everybody does a really good job bouncing off of one another, and Sasha just understand that when Tequila was like Russian, making fun of your Russian everything, it's because he's really hurt because Veronica's gone and there's a stranger in her place. So that was
No,
that aspect that I was trying to bring out.
That's fine. I mean, like I said, I can completely disconnect kind of in character conflict and personal conflict. Like, I know we're really good friends and stuff, and well, I hope we're friends.
Yeah. Everybody at the table's friends. You heard it here first.
And, you know, speaking of Veronica, Sasha, you were the first player character I've ever killed. Like, I actually permadeath. And, you know, I think for, like, what happened, it went really, really well. 'Cause I was a little worried I was going to get you upset. That, you know, I fucking mowed you down.
The danger of the game is one of the reasons why I love playing Cyberpunk.
And, you know, had there been, you know, a case of a little bit more of a fighting chance, like, you can't, like, in Cyberpunk, even I'm willing to be a little bit forgiving. But, like, you can only offer so many chances of survival. And I gotta say, like, you know, it just so happened, you know, wrong place, wrong time, and, you know...
That's Night City in a nutshell, baby.
Yeah, that is usually how it goes down. I think, like, I don't want to say that we've ever really feared death, but I think the first time I feared dying was that gunfight we had with the Maelstrom guys that stole tattoo stuff.
Oh.
And it was the gunfight where Ezra lost a hand.
Mm-hmm.
Even further back, the Cyber Psycho in the cargo container that blew off Trinity's leg. That's when it's like, cover's a cool idea.
It really quickly set the tone of, like, how we like to how things like to go down. And, you know, speaking of character growth, we had Ezra, who started off as a netrunner and is now going out more as an investigative journalist. I mean, still able to use their net diving abilities, which I think is great for grabbing more info, but, like, he's more found something else that he does that he's enjoying over hacking.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense for the character to kind of progress in that way. He took a lot of damage and also feels partially responsible for Veronica's death during that kind of raid. That damage was pretty scary to him because it got him. I don't think I was seriously wounded, but I was very close to seriously wounded off of one very quick net run. So he's a little bit hesitant to jump in there and take more damage directly to the brain. It can be pretty brutal in a sophisticated net. Also, the feeling partially responsible for Veronica's death. Somebody he had kind of an I don't want to say a crush, but an infatuation with. Obviously, that can cause a little bit of trauma. So he's a little bit traumatized by jumping into nets now. He'll still do it if needed. I think most of the nets we've been facing lately have been fairly limited, like they're not huge, and but yeah, I like the idea of him kind of struggling with that now, and also getting to the point where he's got enough money in his account, essentially, that he doesn't need to do those things, or he can kind of do a little more what he wants, which would be more like reporting on video games, probably, or gaming, and breaking stories.
So for Ezra, hacking was a means to eat, not so much this is what he does. Like his...
No, I think with Ezra, he was very limited. We all start off very poor in Cyberpunk, or we start off in sort of destitute situations. Ezra was also handicapped. So he was unable, he was restricted to the chair. But he could absolutely fly through net architectures and move at will, at the speed of thought. So I think the dichotomy between those two things, between his IRL circumstance and what he could accomplish in the net, was what the attraction was for him.
Yeah, because Ezra wasn't always, if I remember correctly, he wasn't always like needing to use a cyber chair. He needed, he got shot in the abdomen, which he had a spinal injury that kept him from being able to walk from that point forward.
Yeah, I think around 11 or 12, like young, that age, during one of the corporate conflicts, he was home invaded, lost his mother during that same instance. He still has a father, but obviously is a little bit estranged from his father now. But got shot and has a severe spinal injury that even with the modern technology is still near impossible to repair. So that's why he's restricted to the chair. I don't even want to say restricted to the chair. He's in the chair. Should say that's a better way to say that.
And then, of course, we did have, that small break over the summer where, Jim had to go to classes on Thursday morning. So we ended up going and sending Tequila with his own crackpot group of, Edgerunners on a synth coke fueled adventure through Shanghai, which, I wonder, does Tequila remember most of that, or is it just like memories that flash by, or like, I'm trying to remember how much synth coke all y'all consumed, because there was a lot of synth coke consumed during that adventure.
I'm fairly certain that I didn't do any rails of synth coke.
Okay.
I developed a smash addiction.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What happened?
You were hitting the booze.
And yeah, and I think those stakes got higher once the mask said, "Hey, I've got a bomb and I can blow up your friends." So
yeah,
it's them. It's let them live or let them die. And
because one of the objectives I had for Mask, it wasn't so much I'm not gonna kill your friends, but I'm gonna make their life hell.
And if I hadn't succeeded, if I didn't make it back, there would probably be more ramifications against Team Toxic Revengers?
Basically the whole second floor, like the interior parts of the second floor and first floor would have been blown in, and one of the staircases would have been collapsed.
Okay. Would that have been a continuing thing?
No, it would have just been it would have been a one-off, and then yeah, he would have been off to Thailand and hit out somewhere in Bangkok, and then popped up somewhere else in the world.
Okay.
Now, speaking of Shanghai and all that, Brighton, when he showed up to the team, he was this very, very fucking beat to shit beat cop in a sense. I wouldn't say beat to shit, but like, the overpacked suburbs had not been kind to Brighton. But like over time, he's developed into a nomad. So like, what are the plans for Brighton? Because I know Brighton is like a recurring character in your setting. Like, where is he getting carried to on that?
It's funny you mentioned being a beat to shit beat cop because bringing a character in with such established characters, it was hard for me to find the perfect character that wouldn't upset the group balance. And I didn't want to make a tequila light. That wasn't the goal. I made a lawman because the group was used to having a lawman around. Making another lawman would psychologically, the group wouldn't really think much of tequila being gone, other than this isn't tequila.
Right. Yeah,
But it was amazing to play because it was supposed to be. I mean, even with his background, he's indebted. He doesn't even get paid for his job. He's basically a corporate paper slave in terms of what he owes from the Fourth Corporate War and his military contract. But yeah, the goal with the character, like he's still a lawman. He's still a nomad, lawman nomad in my world. He actually runs with two other reclaim officers that he works with out of Night City, one of which is Alpha, which, if any of you are, people who live in the United States, you might remember certain domestic disturbances a couple years back, but there was a predominant person named Alpha that was like a 7-foot tall person in full riot gear that was actually helping rioters up in Washington and Oregon. Big, badass, built brick shithouse with a heart of gold. And I was like, I love that mindset. It's nice to see it in the real world. I want to carry that forward in my game, and that's what became Alpha. Deathhead is very much a tank commando from the Fourth Corporate War, but they are, part of that, carrying the idea. These people from Lazarus Security that had their military contracts, their debts, sold to Night City as basically indentured servitudes. They're going to be around and actually be there as NPCs for JJ to utilize as I run my backup differently. I like the idea if you can call in generic mook backup. I love that about the lawman role rank. I think it's great. I think you should also have the ability to be able to call in specialized people as well. Either officers you find or maybe more hardened people that, instead of getting 3 mooks, you're getting 1 hardened lieutenant.
It's interesting. I play in your game Running the Night. I play a lawman in Running the Night, J.J. Jenkins. And I also based him off of a real United States police officer who got himself into a little bit of trouble working in Baltimore's gun trace task force.
Oh.
So it's interesting. You sort of, he's based on Sergeant Wayne Jenkins. If you've seen We Own the City,
Yep.
The HBO program, We Own the City, he's played by John Bernthal in that. And yeah, that's who I've kind of based JJ off of, or at least maybe the character's not so much based off of him, but the circumstance, let's say. So yeah, no, we're kind of drawing on similar things, or drawing at least from reality.
But yeah, I want those characters to be there for Nick to utilize with his character, JJ in that. I can't. It's hard as a DM to make every NPC matter in the narrative, but it's easier to make the important NPCs matter and those lesser characters, just like writing a story. Well, that reoccurring guy who runs the shuttle lifts always be there, but we always have to see it, and now we can slowly develop that character more and more and more. And now he's going to be a main character in the show because he's just always around. I want that to organically happen with a lot of Nick stuff. So introducing some hardened lawmen that were really established characters early on, I thought was going to be a good idea. And the timing worked out so well to be like, I'm going to replace Jim for a couple weeks. This campaign starting, how are sessions lining up? Oh, wow, this is an amazing idea to basically have Nick be able to role play with an NPC he's going to closely work with in my game. This is going to do wonders in helping him get established mindset for this person that he's starting in the game with as a friend.
Mhm.
But now he, as a player, has the backdrop. The last part, I know I'm rambling here. I'm sorry.
No worries.
As a nomad, with all the money he got from the job, he literally gave my plan, my mind's eye. Half of that immediately went to Ma and the Barons as part of, you've given me a car, you're helping me out. Here's 6,000 straight to you guys. Thanks. Maybe we can work out something for me to keep the vehicle. A lot of rest of that he pretty much utilizes to take care of Nyx, and Nyx is probably going to be a character that's actually going to show up in my world as well because of Brighton.
Oh.
My players love grabbing NPCs and being like, you can't kill this character, this is mine. I'm going to keep it alive. And I find it hilarious because I always warn them, like, NPCs, family structures, girlfriends, dogs, I'm going to target at some point in time in my world. You fancy car, you love that car, I'm going to come for that car at some point in time. It's Night City, you're not supposed to have nice things.
That's why you always make sure you have security systems and stuff.
But like speaking of like characters that we base our characters off of, like for example, like Sasha, gamer girl, is very much I don't know if there was like any particular streamer that you were looking at, or like a certain like corner of Twitch that you were looking at when it came to gamer girl, by chance.
No, nobody really in particular. Just a little bit of what I've seen of most kind of streamers. Like obviously the boom headshot meme kind of thing. And...
Okay. Because I wasn't sure if this was based on like basically the there are very popular female streamers. I didn't know if maybe that's what gamer girl was based towards. But it's just like, I'm so glad you didn't sell the shower water, because I
mean, I had to throw in the reference to those kind of streamers with the hot tub stream, but like I said, there was not really any one particular influence in particular. So,
I suppose for me though, like, I've noticed that we all like will base characters off of some form of an experience or someone that we've seen, or like whether it be popular media, like in the case of like Tequila, based on those action movies with the super cop in the trench, in basically the bulletproof trench coat and the big gun, or what's up?
I'm sorry, Diamond. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll bounce off that thought.
All right, so like, yeah, he was inspired by all those figures. This was somebody I wanted to play because at one point in time up here, there was somebody that was interested in running a 2020 game, and they never called any of us back to say, "Hey, we're gonna start running this game. Come on by." So Keela kind of sat on the shelf with the rest of any other characters that I built over the years, and he has been given life in a very entertaining way.
And holy shit,
everybody still remembers Kibbles and Tequila, so
I have dragged that fucking man through the fucking ringer.
Yeah, and that's what's fun about it. I mean, with his background, he was meant to be that person that's on the edge, meant to be someone who's been screwed over. And like every single family trope, he falls in line with this group of people. I mean, I don't even know who convinced him to buy like the Segatari BD set, but he went and did it anyway. And like he's kind of like that almost stern type dad that has had a lot of shit happen, and I don't think he hasn't gotten to. I think he did reach that point, but that was all like alcohol induced hallucination to bedlam. I think yeah, he's not like perfect. He still makes mistakes. He missed one shot like a few times, and that kind of got me mad. But since then, I've kind of ended 2 gunfights with just one shot. There
are times where, you know, if people are going to see, you know, giant gun blow head off, I wouldn't want that smoke.
I mean, honestly, I kind of think Tequila is kind of like the everyman. Like, out of the group, I think Tequila is the most relatable.
Like,
I would agree with that. Why not?
I also got some feels of like Joe from Blade Runner 2049, just a little bit from Tequila, where it was just very much more like that. He still had that bit of a reserved personality, but it would come. But you know, things would come out a little bit differently. Maybe if he was on the Smash, or if he was, you know, really up into his prime on something.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that he doesn't have like cyber arms or legs or has like a pop out gun or whatever. Much like my V, I think my V had the Manus blades in 77. By the way, 2.0 should be out soon if you're on the West Coast, so enjoy downloading that. I'm updating right now.
My poor machine probably couldn't handle 2.0. Like it. Oh, poor baby.
I think like going back to like he doesn't have a lot of cyberware. All he has is his reflexes and I wouldn't even say is like an uncanny aim because, like I said, I've missed shots and he's not totally fully chromed out like Sparks or Bedlam now with the linear frame. So I can see the everyman aspect of somebody who's just getting by with their skills. But I would think that he does kind of feel like he's not as good as he could be, especially because he's been drinking a lot. So
yeah. Well,
and we don't showcase a lot of that. So
I mean, like we saw a lot of you guys taking parts of your vices in Shanghai. We did that was the topic I wanted to explore at Shanghai because, you know, in the way I have it like set in the world, Shanghai right now is living it big because, you know, a lot of other places have collapsed and they're still a big poppin' city yet in out there on the in the east. Well, speaking of Shanghai, it's Gold Spider who played Roy.
Oh, Roy's here?
Oh yeah, Roy the rocker boy. But but like one of the things that I found that was important for like everybody's growth though was like when we had like those very important moments of like, well, in the case of course Veronica's death seemed to be like the big, you know, nail in the coffin. That's like, you know, Segatari, goodbye.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering, were there any other like big impact moments during the campaign that may have set you guys on a different course?
Well, I think like I said earlier, the fear of death and permanent injury came up when Trinity's leg got blown off in the cargo container. That was like one of those holy fuck. And I felt bad because I didn't hit the cyber psycho or something else. It was like standing right there directly in front of us. And seeing that, I think that kind of sort of cemented in there like, we should probably take cover and then ask someone to come out. And if they don't, then we just smoke them or grenade them, whatever. I think that was my first moment of being mutilated. Was not exactly a thought that would happen, but here we are. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. Like Nick, Ak, Sasha, did you guys have like a moment like that in campaign?
I mean, there was the
I'm
point. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
You go ahead because I missed the question.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it was there was a point where Veronica realized she can't just always be at range, so that's why she ended up picking up like a shotgun.
Yeah, that's right.
And then what I was saying, Nick, was like what was that big moment that Ezra had that is just like, okay, it's time to buckle down and get serious. Like, oh fuck, this city will chew me up if I don't stay sharp.
Basically, when well, like I kind of already discussed it today. I think he was pretty bold up until the point he took all that damage and Veronica died during the second time. So I think I already kind of, but that would be the big switch for him.
And then for Emilio, any particular moment, or was it also Veronica's death?
So, I mean, making a character coming into an established group like this, I built Brighton with a big enough background that there was probably nothing city-wise you could throw at that character that was going to scare them. I built the character like a brick shit house, though, with the evasion and brawling and joining late, that I had the ability to kind of mid-max it, if you will. So sadly, no, I didn't get that. The losing somebody and having them die in their arms, I mean, is something my character was totally used to because a war vet, but not something they ever liked to deal with. And that was probably the reason why I tried to really roleplay the, Brighton feels this. We're going to blow up the building. Fuck them. Oh, Nick wants, Ezra wants to get all kinds of like wonky and weird and everything else. I don't want to say I'm going to, beat the hell out of him because I don't, because we're comrades. But I would say as a role-playing character level, Brighton being that old man, Brighton and Ezra probably came real close to going over blows over the incident. So I never got the city's going to chew me up and spit me out, but the impact of Veronica's death was definitely something that probably Brighton would carry with him, just like losing his company and killing his actual brothers and sisters, his actual war family in combat. Like, there's a lot of that emotional damage that just doesn't go away. You hide behind booze, alcohol, and a bad attitude.
Oh, yeah.
Drugs.
Yeah, and I think Ezra kind of did his own version of that, kind of a little bit of well, this is edge running. We all know what we signed up for, right? We all know this is edge running, and this is what happens. And that's kind of how I know it pissed off a lot of other, I'll say characters as opposed to players. But that was kind of the intention, is that he's a little bit new to edge running, probably not really built for edge running in a real way. And when that happened, he's kind of like, what the fuck did you guys expect? This is what we all signed up for. We know what could happen. But that was a little bit of his way of dealing with the trauma or pain of losing a friend or losing that relationship.
And it was the complete perfect mindset. 100% correct. But delivery, bedside manner, all negative numbers on that delivery.
Well, I suppose like
It was great. I loved it. I loved it so much.
And, sometimes changing points don't always have to be negative, though, of course. For example, you guys met Nyx. Little fucking shithead, fucking troll over on ELO. And, basically a borderline scav. Willing to, more likely to shank you than, just take the money right out your pocket. And I mean, I guess for her though, it was just like, it was that first instance of just like even getting into a gunfight where it was just like initiating it. That was one of those moments that I believe for like her, it would have been like, I'm not ready for this, because she only had that Overlord hand cannon when she first started off. Because she has used basically big gun to scare everyone off, unless you fucking knew what that was.
Yeah.
But then there was, there was, getting to know Brighton especially. She, kind of. Brighton kind of grew on her. Basically, like, both of them have been kind of dragged through the shit most of their life. That, it was just like, this guy gets it kind of feel. Compared to, like, and, like, I'm just going to throw it out here, like, Veronica, was just being so fucking, just puppy toes about it. That it was just kind of like, it's just like, what the fuck do you have to say? Which, I guess it does make sense. I don't know if that was so much Veronica or if that was more the player. Like, I'm just curious on that end, Sasha.
It was a little bit of Veronica, a lot of me.
Oh,
Like, I am not good at, like, getting my feelings out there.
but yeah, like, what's up?
You're saying that Veronica would have probably been successful in seducing Nyx if she had been a little more direct with her?
Seduction, maybe not. Intriguing, maybe.
Oh, starting a date, let's say. Whatever you want. Okay.
Yeah.
Wooing?
I've got
That's
5
so-
conversations on the go here. But, no, I thought that was really interesting. I was really worried about how the audience would perceive Ezra's reaction to that, as he was kind of not even a little bit of a shithead. He was a major shithead about that. And he really kept kind of pushing that situation a lot. But I hope the audience understood that was character and not player. And that, he was just a jealous shithead and just a young man who doesn't know how to express his feelings quite so well either. So he kind of went a different way with it. Sorry to interject. It just...
Yeah. Though,
I mean,
go ahead.
most of the, like, most character things, like, I can separate that from, like, player versus character kind of thing. So, like, I knew it was not coming from you, Nick. I knew it was coming from the character kind of thing.
Yeah, and I worry less about the other players at the table, because I can talk to the other players at the table after the session or in private or whenever. I'm a little more worried about the audience, that I don't have that direct relation, or I don't, doesn't necessarily know where the player ends and the character begins all the time, because we're showing a little bit of both. So, but I mean, I think you know me pretty well as a player now. But like I said, I can even do a little post session, like, just to let you know that was not me speaking, that was my character, whatever. And we can have those conversations, but I can't always have those conversations with the audience. So.
Yeah.
I suppose though. Oh, excuse me. Something that I did enjoy, and I understand this was character to character, but like, and okay, enjoy might be a I don't know. I had a little bit of a chuckle because of this. It was when finally things came to a head between Ezra and Emilio, where Emilio just... I thought, oh shit, we're gonna get in trouble for this shit. But when Emilio fucking kicked the back of the spider chair hard enough to knock Ezra over. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I have gotten myself in trouble at other tables for pushing what has been called PvP or things like that, or starting some PvP. It is almost very hard in this world not to. The Cyberpunk's
Yeah.
such a harsh world, and you really would be stabbing each other in the back all the time. You have to make some concessions to keep the table moving, but it is really a world that you would be probably smacking each other around a little bit and saying some pretty nasty things to each other or going against each other and having to get over that. And I think all those things are super interesting. So I would like to see that at more tables, quite honestly, a little bit more PvP at more tables. But I do understand how players are coming here to have fun, coming here to unwind from the week. They don't want people picking on, feeling like they're getting picked on by almost like bullied or something like that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not fun. So I understand that aspect of things. So there's a real balance there. There's a real trust that you have to have with other players. I definitely have that with Auk. I definitely have that with almost all the other players at this table. But yeah, no, that's something that can be a bit challenging, especially if you're at a new table or at a table with strangers, or you're doing something like start playing where people are actually paying to be there and stuff like that, and you don't know
Yeah.
where they're coming from or what their day's been like. So I understand the hesitation to allow that at a table or something like that, or the GM being a little bit like, no, we don't do PvP here, whatever. I totally get it, but I do like exploring it too, with these, in this world.
I don't like doing. Okay, PvP is kind of a touchy subject for me because I guess it could go on RPG or like tabletop horror story or like ttrpg horror stories, but I have had a bad experience of a little bit of player versus player, where basically oh gosh, I think it was like it was messy, like it was messy, like not quite cyberpunk messy, but that it was complicated. Basically, things were coming to a head between me and another gal at a table, just because like I was getting real fucking tired of the in character. Oh, my character would do this kind of thing. But this character happened to, this player happened to be, well, I guess for lack of a better term, a love interest of the GM. I guess feelings didn't reciprocate there, which, oh well. It probably would have been
You hear
better.
a lot of that in like RPG horror stories, like
I would have no issue having a significant other at the table. If anything, they're going to get equal treatment because I want to deliver the genuine experience to everyone. So,
I would be so much worse towards my significant other in terms of like everything. I mean, just I don't know what to say, but just
actually,
I would be entitled to pick on them almost. So I would pick on them the worst.
Does Mint play at your table by chance? I think you got that look on your face, just like.
He's got plead the fifth type look on his face.
That is a man that has definitely killed his. That is the look of a man that has definitely killed his significant other in game before.
Like it's significant other, or having a family member at the table. I'm going to give them the equal treatment. Like Tequila, I imagine you've had that experience where you had like close friend or significant other or somebody at the table. Maybe once. I'm gonna let you.
I don't think I ever really tried to kill anybody in any of the games that I've run. I at one point in time I ran an all ages game, like a one shot, because there are a bunch of kids there. So I had to tone down a story about a bugbear that liked getting it on with sheep, as in, this bugbear was taking care of the sheep, and he was being angry with them. Or angry about something. In terms of like, I had some pretty close PvP incidents. I think the one that pissed me off the most was we were playing during the pandemic. We were playing online because we couldn't play in person. So we played Avernus, and I had a rogue who was the only good aligned person. And
Oh.
everybody said
Oh
you
no.
had to be, you should have been neutral, you should be evil, and I can't play evil people. I just can't. It's hard. So I like stand up against this cleric of Baal, and I had like 8 HP, and she just wipes my guy out. And
Jesus.
You were
then she
kind-
resurrected him as a zombie and had him palling around for a while.
Yeah.
I
Don't
didn't
know
leave.
How comfortable with that would be.
How about you, Ak? You got something under that? Like, are you okay, buddy?
I'm gonna time. I'm gonna time myself so I don't go too long on this.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
Oh yeah, as a DM, as an experience, I say the term Gygaxian DM a lot.
Hmm.
And this is the reason why. My mom gave me my first set of D&D dice. She also gave me my first player's handbook as an original first edition player's handbook. She won this in a wizard's duel. Let me explain real quick. Her and another player had that combative relationship. Their characters fucking hated each other. It almost like as players, they were kind of friends. Their characters just absolutely despised each other. It boiled over to the point in the campaign that each player said, "You know what? I challenge you. You know what? Let's do this. You and me. Let's go." Okay. Well, what are the stakes here in our combat? Well, I'm going to put my wizard spellbook on the line, and the players actually put forth their players' handbooks as a representation of their spellbooks. Keep in mind, original D&D players.
Yep.
So my mom killed the other wizard, put the wizard's head, brain into a jar, and then they tied a rope around the body and proceeded to use it as a trap finding tool for like the next 2 years. And the DM, since the character wasn't dead, wouldn't let the player make a new character. This is how petty my mom is.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh,
this
okay.
is-
That last part is.
Old school
Okay.
D&D, okay.
Yeah.
Old school D&D, people did things kind of a different way, okay. However, this is my first introduction to D&D, and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking dope!"
The
And
old ages.
I immediately went out with it. Now, in my original group, what I played with and everything else, my first characters, people have tried to kill them numerous times. The campaign Brighton was in, our coalition company squad had the name of Friendly Fire because, they're in the way, fuck it. Call down ordnance. They're in the way, to hell with it, throw grenades. You know, it was that's your bad for being there kind of situation. As long as players, and this is the caveat what Nick said, are always showing up at the table with that, the game ends and we are still people, but we are here to role play, and they can have those good engagements or bad engagements. I as a DM, I never like to get in the way of that. Let the players do it. As long as at the end of the session they're not going to be like, "I hate you, you killed my character," so be it. Yeah, we're going to be butthurt, we're going to be emotional because I love my character, you loved your character, whatever. It's still a game. Let's make new characters and move on. I have ripped up character sheets in people's faces. I have killed 26 characters, PC characters, in the course of a 12-hour session. I have been bought dice by my father-in-law for epically killing his first Cyberpunk character and being the first Cyberpunk death in my Cyberpunk Red game. I don't try to kill players intentionally. I do make encounters tailored to players. John the Wise has a video about 10 things DMs shouldn't do. I break like 8 of them. I'm not going to lie. Okay. But if you do it tactfully enough, with enough player agency and game mechanics in mind, that assassin coming after your character isn't going to feel like the DM's picking on you. It's going to feel organic to the story.
Mhm.
And whether you engage with it or run away or try to find other ways out of it, that's the story, that's the engagement. And Nick's, with Ezra and, and Brighton, I only pushed the subject because I had enough experience with a couple sessions with Nick to know he's totally going to be down on this and let's do this. And it was a great scene. People enjoyed it. And immediately, as people like listening don't know, immediately after that session, it was like, "Hey, we good? Like just making sure." And he was like, "No, I love that. That was great." And you can see that already even butting through with the way Nick plays with other characters. I do agree with Nick. It's something players should not be afraid to explore, but they also should be mindful of the don't be too deconstructive to the campaign. My character wouldn't do this. I'm going to spend 2 hours bitching about it. Is not the way to be cohesive with the group. But you can have a couple minutes to have that role play encounter, and it might be really good for the story and character interactions. So, I am the outlying example here. Player deaths is good for a story.
Oh, look, yeah.
A
player-
It's always going to be an epic story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, and there's
oh, go ahead.
there's sparkly blood dice and everything. Like,
What you got? What you got, Jim?
I was gonna say by the end of that campaign, the Avarice campaign, I had another guy who's a good guy. I think he was neutral good too. He had they had gotten to the point where they have to obtain this weapon from this I forgot what it was. It was like a cathedral or something. And they can't pull it out because he doesn't have a soul, because it sold a soul like a while back, so that way they can get a vehicle to ride around in. And he gets into a fight again with the ball cleric, and the paladin is the only other one that's going to back him up. So we both get taken down, and I guess we Jedi Ghost and talk to Zariel and convince her to let everything go, and we got brought back to life, and we saved the day. All the evil guys, they got to go sit on the first layer of hell and figure out how to come back and kill us. So, yeah. PvP, if the other person's cool with it and you want to do that to like build up character relationships, well, fine. It makes for good conflict within the group. But if you're all of a sudden saying, well, while that guy's doing this, I draw my handgun and put one in his head, without provocation,
Yeah,
I have no place for it at my table.
I think it has to be agreed. Like,
Yes.
if one player has an issue with it, then
At the end of the day, that's why we have lines and veils. That is something that, I've always discussed at my table. And, I've gotten better about it because that's something I actually learned when I started playing, Cyberpunk. Was, this is something that I need to have at my table. And, I feel I've gotten better about it. And when you're learning these things, it's not that you're a bad GM when you miss something. You learn, you move on. I've never had like that horror experience with a GM I've had it with two, but still it was a couple of those that I would never come back. Like, I've never seen these GMs ever again. The thing that I've found that was very important with this group was just, the fact that there was always that communication between everybody. And like, even like when I see your guys' shenanigans throughout the week, like I open up chat and, you guys are already planning like how you're going to, commit acts of domestic terror on Night City. I want to clarify, we don't condone that, but still burn corpse shit. But I guess,
it's on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
You gotta do what the t-shirt says.
Isn't that just the best, though, as a GM, when you see your players engaging with the actual story content between sessions and writing about it and trying to, like, decide, what my play, how are we going to work as a team to accomplish this, or what do you guys want to do? Like, there's nothing more encouraging as a GM than to see this conversation occur.
Like,
throughout the week.
Not gonna lie, I see, you guys actively chattering amongst each other compared to some of my other groups, and it's just like, holy shit, this is weird, but I like that. me like. The thing that I thought was just really nice though about Team Toxic was that at the end of the day, you know, you guys did draw lines with each other. Like in character, you guys did draw lines. You know, things hit a point with, you know, Sparks where, you know, Sparks had to go to therapy or else he was going to get put down like a rabid dog. Because Brighton
would have done it too.
Brighton would have been the one to do it.
Yeah, because he was gonna go over the edge if he didn't get that therapy.
Oh yeah, he was heading straight for it. And then seeing but also seeing all you guys draw lines in the sand with the NPCs, like seeing like Tequila, like it's still just kind of the way it was delivered. Like when the mask during Cyberpunk Shanghai was just like, what keeps you going? Why are you here at this point? And just, the only thing Tequila had to say to Mask was, it's my fucking job. Is just like
that was beautiful.
And you see that with just the fucking torrential downpour over the rooftop of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Just
with
a broken arm.
Mm-hmm.
That moment gave me chills, Jim. Not gonna lie.
Like,
very on brand.
Tequila fucking powered through basically a broken arm, and I threw you guys up against probably one of the hardest encounters I've generated for anyone. And that was all hardened enemies. You guys just happened to prepare yourselves well ahead of time.
It also kind of helped that 12 us hooked up our armor beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
And we did kind of sort of get like a bunch of gear before all that started.
You did your prep work.
Yeah, I think besides the "it's my job" bit, I think my favorite moment in that was when we hit the lobby against the Triad gang that was pushing up on the Madam's house.
Oh, yep.
And I said in Chinese, "You work for the devil. Better be ready to pay for him too."
Yeah, that
was after
like,
I think I set a guy on fire.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, whoa. Well, then of course we also had Roy, who ended up getting that crushed windpipe critical injury on somebody with his
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
With his Mr. Stud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goal!
Did it go in via the mouth? By
Yep.
chance?
Goal!
Because I missed that one, but
But like the things that you guys have introduced into my setting, because of course one thing that I have is my setting is a living, breathing world. That's what I wanted, and of course now we got Mr. Stud Plus with extra defensive features, I guess. We've got the Colt AMT now. What other?
We brought in the Malorian 45-500.
Mm-hmm.
And then we brought in last week FAFO.
Yes, fuck around, find out.
we have the Ultraman suit as well.
Oh yeah, we have Project Ultraman. I don't think Sparks has really tried to sell any Mr. Stud Pluses. Even though I gave him like the blueprints too.
Sparks invented all those hands, those different gloves.
Yeah,
battle gloves.
Yep, the battle gloves.
Yeah, so those are pretty cool. Like they're,
Yeah, Gaster, that did happen. I just care to think that for some of these people, like they're kind of coming up out of the high or out of the fog, just kind of like, did that happen? Like, I care to think that's just like what some people thought of that whole thing, because I wanted to make that. I wanted to make Cyberpunk Shanghai like a reflection against, the rest of my games where it was very much. It's a little off kosher for Cyberpunk.
It's a unique place because every single game, barring the GM, always will take place in Night City. Elements of Diamond's Night City is going to be in the podcast, so some of our characters will appear, provided they survive. And on the show, I will bring them in just as, like, if people are listening and they hear this person talk, it's my voice, but it's supposed to be them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think using the connected worlds kind of makes sense. But I also don't want to overstep stuff and, like, say, oh, well, in mine it has to be like this, because it's your game, not mine. So
I always thought it would be kind of fun to come in as either a guest star on in a session, maybe not even the whole session, but like a guest star or a villain who comes in and plays like the bad guys for the GM, and maybe actually like role plays like the lead bad guy, but can control the bad guy players so that the GM can just kind of run the game or do some more color and stuff like that. That sounds like a lot of fun to me, personally. And Discord kind of makes that easy because you can see when people are like, you can just be like, oh, if you're around, hop on in for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Like I did on accident at one time.
Oh, no, that was totally fine.
I popped in and like, oh god, no, and then I backed right out.
So
the wrong thing.
I suppose let's look to the future. The finale looms over 6 of you. As you guys are making plans to commit probably, in my setting, probably not the worst crime that's going to happen in the because my group ran in 2044 and we basically shot one by Saburo Orosaka before making a fucking getaway out of Tokyo.
We trashed the Smasher as well.
Well, Animal did. That was all Animal. But that's also because Animal was rolling hot that night when that happened. But
I'm pretty sure Jenny blew a couple of holes in him with her pistol.
I think you did with the Malorian.
Yeah. Which that's kind of ironic, bringing a Malorian to fight Smasher.
But
yeah.
But also, being at home, and not quite having all the shit that you normally have on out in the field. I wasn't sure exactly how to build Smasher, but apparently Crusher is just Diet Smasher. So
we have Smasher at home.
Yeah, well, it's Maelstrom's. It's Smasher, but on the street without corp money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bearing in mind this was before pretty much any of the DLCs that have come out. Or source books that have come out.
This was before we even knew any of this shit existed.
Yeah.
We just had, the book.
Yeah, we just had the core rulebook, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think we carried into 2021 where there were some DLCs out there. I just didn't know they existed until after. Like, we missed out on the 12 Days of Gunmas. Like, goddamn.
Oh.
You've met Crusher, Taka. Oh, how did? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because you caught Crusher on one of his good days, which that's probably there's more bad than good with that absolutely heap of crap put together. I hate to say it, but Crusher. Actually, no. Crusher does scare me. Like I've encountered a few psychos. I am more scared of fighting AIs though than I am of psychos. I don't know about you guys. Like, what are your what is like your guys' least favorite to deal with in Cyberpunk? Like, least favorite.
I think those slimes and Elflines. That was In terms of dealing with enemies and stuff, outside of us just plugging the mask with everything that we had, and then I think some of the cyber psychos were interesting fights. Um, I'm kind of glad you didn't send up Tequila's other ex-girlfriend to try to kill him, because that would have been kind of funny if Galena showed up out of nowhere and went cyber psycho on him, and then Bedlam would have to wrestle her, or Lydia would come in and wrestle her, and
I mean, I might have something in my back pocket. I don't know. We still got 2 more episodes.
Lydia dropping in at the last minute, or not Lydia,
Galena?
Galena dropping in at the last minute would. Well, she's also kind of a little Russian, so her and Demon could probably get along. So, I don't think I had. I think the worst villains we had to face, if they weren't the Elflines monsters, it was any of the cyber psychos you tossed at us.
I mean, I had that full Borg amongst the mix. Skid Pan.
Hidpan was that the one where Ezra, or was that the gunfight where Ezra lost his hand?
No, that I'm trying to remember who the fuck the male strummer was. I'm trying to remember his fucking name.
What would really, sorry to interrupt, what would really scare me in a Cyberpunk game is what they kind of suggest doing in Listen Up, You Primitive Screwheads. Whereas when you kind of get towards the end game or your characters get very strong, the GM will grab your character sheets and basically make a bunch of characters with a little extra IP or 1 rank up from where you're at, and then throw basically an equivalent group of Edgerunners at you with all your own skills and all your own kind of abilities. That can be pretty scary because then you've thought so hard about how to set up your character not to be beaten, and now you have an opponent who's got the same kind of abilities.
And it's like, what happens when fire meets fire?
Yeah.
Which,
Ricker Fire.
like, what about you, Ak? Like, when it comes to the enemies out there, out on Night City, which one is it that's just like, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck?
As the player here at the table who's probably played the least amount of Cyberpunk games, I would say, in my opinion, the thing that scares me most is always going to be AI. If in 2020 you could totally look at somebody and like, oh, they don't got armor on, they're in skimpy nylon, whatever, easy target on a Joy Toy, and then you grab them and it's 2 tons of cyborg you just pissed off. And it's just a brain in a box, and literally get folded in half and put in a glove box. Now, we don't have full conversion bodies in Red yet, but if we had a fraction of what you could do with full conversion bodies in 2020, it's hard to say. You can always run away from a cyber psycho. You can always put something else in its way for it to, feast on in terms of carnage. You have that option to run. If you get stuck in a combat with an AI, it could probably delete the way for you to escape. And it's much more horrifying to think of the other things that could happen there. I'm a Doctor Who fan, so I mean, the AI just takes your body for a ride, and now we've released Cybermen upon the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how some net ghosts were developed in the data crash. Is net runners were out there in the net, and their conscious was out there, and then Fridge Boy decides, okay, well, I guess fuck your net, your internet, and well, everything just went to shit.
I have. On the AI thing, an AI finding an installation of like cryogenically frozen people to be able to access their brains and basically use the human memory as your random access memory for the AI. The AI could literally give itself a walking database of people to utilize, because most people forget about some of the AIs in 2020. The Spore program in 2020 is the scariest thing to see coexisting now in the time of Red. because, oh, I got too big. Well, I'm just going to push out some spores and make smaller copies of myself that are remade, recompacted, and ready to keep evolving.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
like, ooh,
just to think that
ooh.
is still out there in the time of the
Mhm.
red, just floating through the net.
So,
What about you, Sasha? Like, of all the enemies that I have thrown at you, because I think I've been like your prime GM for Cyberpunk. Like, which ones are that it was just like, oh god, oh fuck?
Probably Dusty, honestly.
Oh,
Just the
yes,
way, just the way
Dusty.
she kept coming back, like more and more cybered up each time. It's like, what does it take to kill you?
Dusty was very much that foil to Animal is what I was doing with, because here's Animal, this absolutely bored out Russian woman that you guys have met, very big strong neo-Soviet lady, but then you had Dusty on the other hand, who was just trying to become the hardest hitting meanest motherfucker out in little Europe, and kept coming back.
Plus, I think because that was like the first group for Cyberpunk that we were in, it had that much more of an impact.
Which, don't worry, I'm still going to find a way to take the classics you come to expect and still make them a little bit more spooky. But
Now,
you
know what I've never faced? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Actually, please.
Well, one thing I've never faced as a player character or I've never had a GM throw at me, at least not yet, is a media. Kind of to some extent, I guess you could say running the night. We have a little bit of that in the backstory, but yeah, no, having a media character who is kind of trying to take down your group or your edge running group, or trying to expose them, that kind of thing, or trying to get the public against them. That is all very interesting to me, and something that I have not seen yet that could be very challenging. Maybe it's not so hard to kill, or it might be hard to find them or whatever, but they might not be a very strong character, like combat-wise. But if they can turn everyone against you using that media role, that would be kind of a scary thing.
I mean,
God damn it, Nick.
I think a fantastic.
That is actually a pretty cool idea.
I think a fantastic representation of the media that is tough to hit. Which, oh yeah, that's right. She's also a Danger Gal, but you see her in the core rulebook, Fiona Hayes, like where she is taking some risks. Like her and Bess Isis, those two, like, could be like real problems for any edge running crew. Especially if you really start showing up on their radar, which that is something that I've actually started exploring with the group. I'm just not gonna say who, because like I have a player that's like in every group I'm in here. No, not Jim, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm pointing in Discord, not in.
Not okay.
Like, what did I do? What did I do?
Up over there.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
Hey, on the Twitch.
I
Sorry.
love America.
I have an easier time because
no.
No.
Go ahead.
All right, Nick. It's funny you say that, and I'd be happy to talk to you more about this more because it doesn't change the story for me. But spoilers. All I'm going to say, if you guys think about the narrative with the game, with the other game, and I'm not trying to hijack your thing here, Diamond. It's funny how he said
totally fine.
having a media against the group would be problematic, and I've never seen this happen because, like in that story, while taking over the tanker of Chew from actual petrochem facility, they recorded themselves on the Rocker Boy, and I quote, "Yeah, we're stealing this Chew because fuck the system." And in the background, you have a little shot of Nick's character there as well. And Nick even got to meet the actual production manager who's newly appointed of the facility, even met Nick's character by name, even traded contact information.
Yep.
And 1 hour later, what hits the garden patch is a video of that from that rocker boy talking about how we're taking the chew and down with the system, and we need to come together, and all kinds of rebellious political, commotion to cause an uproar. And meanwhile, that character who I name dropped and actually went out of their way to meet Nick is a corporate media and has questions about what's going on with the job case she just got appointed with. And oh, look, they posted a video about themselves online, apparently stealing my gas. Yes, the character is going to come back. Yes, it's an amazing, it's an interesting story, and it's just that, like, you talking about that, like, I would love to see this. It's like, I don't want you to think I'm stealing your idea. I'm not. I have an entire page of this already written up for you guys.
Oh yeah.
Well, for my podcast, I'm now going to steal that idea because one of the players in it is the media, and it doesn't help that the Nomad has a van. So basically, it's like their own garden news, like on the street group.
Yeah.
So when something happens, they drive up there in their van, and the media records it, puts it on the guard, and calls it a day. But what if there's another group?
Media versus media trying to get the biggest scoop first.
Independent news agency.
Yeah. Sort of like Ron Burgundy versus West Mantooth.
Night crawlers are kind of interesting. You would definitely have a lot of night crawlers in Night City, meaning like people that go out and film accidents or crime, and they're sort of freelance and they're selling it between the different news networks, kind of playing each other off each other. I don't know how well that. I think that fits as like an NPC. I don't know how well that works as a character necessarily, because you would probably spend a lot of time sort of like away from the group or not really doing group things a lot. But I think that would be really interesting to explore. Have like an NPC who's like a freelance media who sells off their shit to different people, who shows up on the scene and films stuff.
So, by the way, just to interject here, Culture, Nyx does still exist in my setting. She has cameoed over with Team Law and Disorder on Wednesday nights, doing a little side hustle for, because she works for Emilio, where they're both, still having to make money. So, she was out doing her thing, doing solo work. But following up on that media thought, though, like, I would like to take, for example, like, if you happen to have Danger Gal dossier, if you would mind opening that book to page 92. That's Fiona Hayes. Fiona Hayes is a boss level NPC, but she is a media with credibility 6 and absolutely no points of weapon skills. Except for brawling, it looks like. Because I don't even see melee weapon on there, and that's one of the things that she has is light melee weapon, which I assume is probably your microphone. I don't know if you've ever been thumped on the head by a microphone before. I have. It hurts a little. But
yeah, no,
she's like Darcel Jones of Team Jaguar.
Yeah,
she got a rep at 9. She could face down people too. Pretty easily.
That one, Culture, that one's one of my own series. It just happens that it takes place in the same living setting. But if you just look, like, she's got fantastic skills. Not really combat oriented, but it looks like if she wants that information, or if she needs to look the part, she can and will do it. Because, like, wardrobe and style 16 and personal grooming 16, she's got a couple different.
She has human perception at 15, which is crazy high.
Yeah.
Human perception, especially. Interrogation at 12, which isn't bad.
Conversation. What's her? Oh, she doesn't. I'm surprised she doesn't have actually a conversation score.
She has 16. Where is her persuasion?
14. That's right next personal grooming, and resist drugs and torture is also at 14, surprisingly. But that actually no, she's got a lot of willpower. That's what gets her up to 45 hit points. But I think though, like on that note, like looking at like non-combative characters, looking to the future here with some of the others, or do we want to take a quick break and then come back?
I can actually go for a break real quick.
All right.
Yeah. Smoke if you got it.
All right, guys, we'll be right
No
back
thanks, I just
after
quit.
this. What?
No thanks, I just quit.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and here's a word about our sponsors here in just a moment. Once I pull up that note, because I don't know, I'm blanking on our sponsors today. I am so terribly sorry. We've been doing this for so long, and anyway, everything that we do over here at Cybernation Uncensored is, of course, brought to you by Lion Banner Games, Studio Agate, Free League Publishing, Sirenscape, Fantasy Grounds, Modifius, and Loki Battle Mats. Thank you all for everything you do. And as always, to the viewers like you, thank you. I know today is just kind of like the bonus episode, and we wanted to make sure everybody was here for our two-part finale, because I like doing two-part finales. But yeah, I suppose just looking at things from my point of view here, I can't believe how well this or how long this campaign went. I'm like, for anybody who thought, hey, this is just a few weeks, like I'm so terribly sorry. I prefer long form campaigns. But yeah, and of course, if you enjoy what I do, of course, I'm always over at my stuff. She able to read now, since I remember she was tasked to tag Ezra's container. So over time, Culture Nerd, yeah, she would have developed some other skills now that she was, actually not having to survive. She can actually, well, she has to survive still, but she has time to learn other shit too. But yeah, I like doing long form campaigns. So that's just kind of like where I kind of run with things. But yeah, light rain and thunder today in my area. Lovely. But yeah, I suppose though, now that we've had some time to look at what things once were, we're gonna take a little bit to see what we're not gonna really have season 2, so to speak, but it's going to be a new series covering new topics is more what we're looking at here.
Well, I thought the idea was we were going to do half of this next season was going to be different characters doing something, and then
I think we just agreed on sunsetting this group, especially since Ezra is going to be leaving the group, and I personally would be oh goodness, I felt like a bunch of bones pop in my neck and my shoulders. Okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies when I wake up in the morning. But yeah, we're looking that this would just be a new series with new characters is what we're looking at doing.
Oh, okay.
Well, especially since you guys are pissing off basically a little but I would say they're a little corporation, so to speak. They're not one of the Neocorps. They're not one of the big ones. But I mean, Segatari still could get some bite behind them yet. Especially when Segatari Japan finds out. No, we're not pissing off Militech. Sorry for any of you Militech fans out there. Arasaka was in the right. I'm kidding.
Are we getting some more Johnny Silverhand did nothing wrong memes?
I don't know. Basically, Culture Nerd said pissing off baby Arasaka. It's like, look, Militech just had the backing of the U.S. The new United States government. But you know what I find funny about about the Fourth Corporate War? War is not funny in itself. But the thing that everybody was fighting over, like the original cause for the Fourth Corporate War, was it had to do with, like, I think if I'm correct, a couple of the Ocean Corps. Real quick, let me grab what it was. Let's see. Before the red.
Yeah, there were a couple of smaller, I guess, underwater firms, and one of like the biggest one collapsed. So the smaller firms tried to take what they could from the bigger one before bigger fish came.
Because IHAG went bankrupt, so Sino and OTEC got involved.
Yep.
So OTEC ended up hiring Militech, and Sino hired Arasaka. And these two giants went to war and started fighting each other. And in the midst of all this, all of IHAG's assets get destroyed. Literally the thing that everybody was fighting over.
Well, when it's the two biggest kids on the block, you had to expect something to happen.
I can't have it. No one can.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Well, from what it looked like, it was just destroying the collateral of these two fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they made shit real fucking personal between each other. And, like, literally the Fourth Corporate War, it could have all been stopped if simply, you know, IHAG made some better financial decisions. But because of some idiots in IHAG, suddenly the world goes to shit. I mean, the world was already going to shit already. We had bioplagues and the nomad riots. Goddamn nomads deciding that, you know, they destroy. Anyway, I should watch.
Raish? I mean, you know.
Well, the thing is that would data crash have happened anyway? Without the Fourth Corporate War? Oh.
I would love to have this in-depth conversation with somebody. I personally believe it would, only because the data crash was designed to go off upon Bart Moss's death.
Ah. Oh shit.
So
Bart
it's
Moss
just
got plotted. It would only be a matter of time.
You get power fluctuations, things like that. There was a kill switch timer. The Bart Moss's Guide to the Net actually is a wonderful read if anyone can ever get a hand on it. But they talk about some of the things he did, and yeah, I mean, probably by 2015, 2016, Bart Moss was already in pretty much a stasis chamber on the net 24/7, sure, but if so much time would pass, his data crash would go off. Now, you have to think, if everything would have kept building in the Fourth Corporate War because of OPEC, if that part of it never got started, at what point before the next thing would have set it off? Then at what point would have Bart Moss's actual chamber have died, causing all of his virus stuff to initiate? Because it was in every system at this point in time. And if you look at his history as a programmer, it's because he's been bouncing around every Neocorp for over a decade. So I personally believe so.
I opened up the group chat here and for Eddies and Elflines, and Daiquiri Jack here says, when you have a pissing contest, you gotta expect some splashing. Just listening for a minute with lunch. Okay. But hey, Jack, I hope you're having a great day. But like, looking at all this though, like leading up to, well, the absolute mess of the Fourth Corporate War, there was so much other shit going on. Wasting plagues. The Middle East ends up having a meltdown. Africa ends up on a tech boom, and we get the High Riders, which I think that's great. Asia also seems to start improving, like especially looks like Japan, China, Korea, and the Philippines. And so that's why I kind of wanted to make Shanghai look just a little bit different compared to Night City. Like things were good. Like literally, yeah, things were fine for the most part. Just a bit pricey for tourists.
A bit pricey.
What's the
I guess
matter?
that's. I guess Shanghai, I guess in that aspect's always weird to me because you would think with all the orbital bombardment and the stuff falling down, the tsunami problem that would have occurred during the time of Red would have literally wiped out so many major coastal cities.
Oh yeah.
But it's not something that's really gone into too much detail.
But hello everybody, we are back, or at least I think we're all back. Yeah. But I guess looking to the future. Yes, Nick.
I was just gonna. I'm sorry. I was on mute there, but I was just gonna ask. Like, did they ever throw any waters into the ocean to try to cause any tidal waves, or did they just throw them directly at cities?
It doesn't. I wish we had more detail in the 6-hour war with the separation and independence stuff that happens with a lot of the high rider colonies, the orbital platform stations and things like that. I would love to see a source book detailing more of them in the here and now, because you got to think of the tech boom they would have had not being in the shit during Red either.
Yeah. No. Yeah, for sure. So some of those things I'll leave a lot of like just many questions in my mind, I guess, kind of thing sometimes. And yeah, no, that's like that. I never thought about that until you just brought it up now about how there's nothing that's being washed out by a tidal wave or a great tsunami. And I was like, oh, maybe they just only hit cities though, as opposed to. But you would think, I don't know. Yeah.
Didn't they hit like?
Colorado Springs got obliterated.
Yeah, and didn't they also hit like a couple other places
So it
too?
sounds like they took almost like a World War II type approach, kind of like what they did at the end of World War II, where they didn't necessarily choose the absolute biggest targets that they could have chosen, or the most devastating targets that they could have chosen for the weapons, but they chose just to demonstrate the weapons more. So they chose a mid-sized target. Maybe that's kind of the idea.
The 7-hour war. Let's see. But just kind of looking at look to the future here. I know I keep saying that, but Ezra, Nick, it sounds like you will not be joining us for the next series that we're going to be putting together, which that's okay. Just I just
welcome at the table.
Yeah, always welcome back at the table if maybe fate changes. But everyone else, like, any further thoughts on characters? 'Cause I know Sasha and I have talked about her fixer, like who.
I mean, you heard mine already, I think. So, I'm trying to keep it as a surprise for things, but whenever it comes up, whenever we start playing with that new group, they exist. So.
And but like maybe a role perchance, like what you might be choosing
Oh,
yet?
um, I honestly think it might be Rocker Boy.
All right.
I mean, a solo would make it easier, but I could also play like a Rocker Boy would be very much more interesting to play as. Thing that I've never played it before, and yeah, I think I'd have a really good time with it, especially with the idea that I have for the character.
Um, and of course, Sasha is playing a fixer, but taking a very different approach to fixer than I've seen with most. Um,
I generally don't play your typical run of the mill characters.
Fixers are fun. Fixers want maybe like Fixers a lot of fun.
I mean, I can tell you guys a little about the character if you want.
Please do.
that is totally up to you how much you want to give out.
So, Diamond has introduced a yo gang called the Little Jays. Can't remember if she introduced them in this setting or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little Jays are present in this setting. They did meet
Right,
Jay because you guys went out to go snatch one of their trucks full of their supplies that they need from 6th Street when 6th Street snatched it.
That's right, yeah. So, yeah, she is basically an older sister to the little Jays. Essentially, she was a little J until she's grown up and reached adulthood. So, she basically started her fixer career getting food and guns and ammo and stuff for the little Jays to do what they need to do.
Well, you're still a little J, but you're in a position like Molly Anderson, where Molly, they are still an Anderson. They're not the yo ganger they used to be.
Yeah. So she's not going to be too much of a fighter, but she can look after herself at least. She's more focused on like acquisitions and greasing palms and movers and shakers kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think like the other thing is like with her is I've got like some plans for like story wise what to do with her already, and like I'm so glad that R.Tal actually discusses like what to do with the case of, well, like Generation Red, for example. Because and like if you guys do have Danger Gal dossier, Generation Red, they're a yo gang. They're a bunch of kids who are, basically trying, run away from broken homes, run away from the systems, and well, they go out to go do their own thing. I'm not going to get too much details just because, spoilers and whatnot, but they do have a whole page, page 66, that covers like how to cover the topic of yo gangs in like kids in the city, because it's still a city. There's still people. There's people that are gonna have kids, and unfortunately, in the time of the Red, it's a terrible time to have children if you don't have that the right kind of finances or the right kind of statuses.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I would think that Oh, go ahead.
This page kind of came up in my own sessions very quickly. We had our first session or whatever, and we laid out our lines and veils, and of course lines and veils almost always cover no abuse towards children or violence towards children or anything like that. And then immediately I put my crew right up against this yo gang, pretty much almost instantaneously, literally like by the end of the session. And I kind of had to have the conversation with them because like I didn't, is this okay for everyone? But it's easy enough to basically take these characters out and replace them with
Yeah.
relatively generic mooks, I guess, or whatever. You know what I mean, like gangers or whatever. But is
Mhm.
everyone fine with them being kids? And how are we going to handle this? And everyone kind of said they were fine with it. And then I kind of we kind of laid out some, as a GM, I would like to see them handle these kids, not just like generic mooks though. Or kind of have the try to maybe not, try to deal with them a little differently than they would if they were just gangers, so to speak. Because I thought that was kind of interesting, or created a little bit more of a dilemma for the characters, and that was the whole point,
Yeah.
right? They couldn't just go in guns blazing. They would have to try to find a way to do it in hopefully a less violent kind of way. They sort of did that, sort of didn't, a little bit of both. And it was good fun, I think. But yeah, no, you do have to have those conversations, make sure everyone's comfortable. Especially, I know that we had, like, I'm a parent. I know that we have another parent at the table, and that we have an expecting, a newly, like somebody who's expecting to be a parent very soon. So I know,
An
especially
aunt
during those
even.
times
Well,
when you're,
soon to be.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, like when you're pregnant, or when your spouse is pregnant, those can be very intense emotional times and stuff like that. So it's good to be aware of everyone's feelings. That's all.
Yeah, and for me, I do believe that yo gangs have a place in my setting. However, it's one of those things where it's like I like to throw up that roadblock, especially for groups where their first answer to solving anything is violence. Like, do you know how bad of rep that would look for you to just go and fuck up a bunch of kids, like just beat the shit out of them or kill them? Like that would look awful on you. Like nobody would want to hire someone with that kind of rep.
I mean, corporations would.
Okay.
Corpos would. Just saying.
There's no moral obligations with these Edgerunners. But like, maybe like, if you look at a fixer like, Rex, it would be a real bad look on, maybe Rex or Three Piece or Wood Chipper, or especially Molly. Like if you did that, like Molly would, you would make an enemy out of Molly. You'd make an enemy out of a lot of others that look out for the kids. Go ahead.
One last thing about my character, I'm really proud of the name that we chose.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
little Jays have
It's a good
bird
name.
names. Her name is going to be Magpie, because she brings supplies to the nest.
Yep.
Yeah. Each nest leader, their nicknames are that of a bird, which, where do they get bird
Really
names?
cool.
Who knows? Because, of course, birds
Yes.
aren't real in the time of their birds aren't real. What are you
Birds are
talking
real.
about?
They're just extinct, or where they're just not around. They're so real.
How do you know if birds were even real? Have you ever seen one?
Have you ever seen a dinosaur?
Oh, dude, those are amazing fucking, pre-packed meals. I like the ones with little shapes to go with them. It's great.
Ak, I know you were looking to rejoin us at the table. What are you feeling up to that Mint's probably going to try to kill?
I always look the opportunity for a character to die. It just means I get to play something else. I get to as a DM, you have to play a lot of characters, and I do that in all my worlds. I only make actually colorful NPCs of characters that I want to play, and I have a lot of characters I want to play. Is the problem? I'm thinking Netrunner.
Day we all.
Okay, as a any good edge running team, I think always should have an edge runner. A Netrunner. That being said, I know it kind of can slow down the pace, especially for a streaming game in time. Is my only other concern there as well. But I would love to play one. I loved playing them in 2020. I have a lot of things because I've looked at all of Diamond's, homebrew stuff. You should really check out Diamond's Patreon, by the way, if you haven't. I'll just shamelessly plug that there.
Oh.
But yeah, I've looked at all your homebrew stuff, and I have I got some ideas. It's just starting out with the Netrunner is always going to be a little hard. I'd like to play Techie, maybe. I think that could be a lot of fun. Playing a Rocker Boy, then again, was like another character in the group who's playing a Rocker Boy. I think is a great opportunity too. Um,
Yeah.
I'd like, especially because not that I want to piggyback off of another character idea. That's not what I mean. Is what I mean, Jim. It's just you can do more. Oh, hey, you're playing a rocket boy. I'm playing a rocket boy. What kind of band were you maybe thinking of? Hey, let's start a band together, and it gives you guys to be able to focus on your character story more because you have someone else either that's with your crew trying to do things. Yeah, let's go jam some music, man. Oh, hey, just either new instrument. Oh, yeah, let's go totally. You have more of I think more genuine opportunity to role play that like especially if you're doing like a rock boy musician. I think you can have more fun with that.
It builds that synergy between those players.
If there are two musicians in the group and there isn't a dueling banjo scene, I'm gonna be upset.
Correct. I know with some of the other characters people have talked about playing, and I don't necessarily want to spoil that. I'll leave that up to Diamond.
Don't let
On
him,
media,
Diamond.
I think
It's a trap to get an axe. Wait.
you shut up, ogre. Shut up. All right.
Trap. Get an axe.
What? Huh?
Shut up, ogre.
Oh, Tequila has disappeared into
Ether. I went to go grab something.
Oh,
'cause
okay.
I'm working on like school and writing stuff.
Okay.
Axe
but I'm still here
guitar
talking.
as well as a weapon. So yeah.
A media would be really good with this group too. I think, just because.
Thornton.
It does seem like they used to write a lot more in the 2020 stuff about having groups of almost all the same role, or at least like you're all nomads, or you're all in a band together, even if you're not all necessarily rocker boys, but at least maybe majority of your rocker boys, or maybe a multi-class or whatever. But they did seem to have a lot of that in 2020, where it's like you're all lawmen, you're all rocker boys, all med techs, maybe you're all trauma team med techs kind of thing or something. They did seem to have that as like more of a thing in 2020, where you would be running campaigns kind of theme.
All of one. Well, you couldn't really multi-class anyways in 2020, but yeah, it was a lot more campaigns written around entire groups of playing one character because having a netrunner meant, oh, the netrunner's starting the dive? Yeah, well, I'm going to go out for pizza. Do you want me to bring you back anything in an hour?
Yeah.
Because...
I'll fucking order it myself. Just go pick it up.
yeah, because there was so much difference when it came to some of the in-depth nature. Now, they fixed a lot of that in Red, and I always try to look at things making sure the group is well-rounded, so there's a lot of characters under that well-roundedness I can play. I guess as I've DM'd so long, I try to shy away from really unique characters with too much of their own story because I don't necessarily want to take away from everyone's time to role play as well.
Yeah, there is a thing where having some generic aspects of your characters or some tropey things can kind of facilitate just moving things along, especially in the early game, where you're sort of setting things up or getting the group together. It's not the worst. Like tropes aren't always the best thing when you're writing, but when you're sharing a table with 5 or 6 other people, sometimes it can help facilitate or just make things easier. People will instantly know what that character's all about or have an idea of kind of what they're of that character in their head. So it's not the worst thing in a TTRPG situation to use those kind of things.
Yeah. I'm hoping, though, Diamond, if we end up not having a techie, then I can really do my netrunner / techie idea and really try to make some really cool, fun things try to happen in your world. No pressure. No pressure.
Somebody... Like Dia, like the original Diamond herself, like when I played Diamond, it was 7 levels of Netrunner, 4 levels of tech. When the dust settled, like that Netrunner tech, like fuck going out to buy your programs, just make a shit ton of them. So this one broke, I'll put this one in.
I start upgrading programs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You can get pretty.
You want your Hellhound to, maybe have a little bit more attack or a little more defense? Sure. You want, a killer to be able to, do little things like that? Sure.
It can become problematic. I honestly let the Netrunner do more than what's allowed. I try to let my Netrunners in my world actually use their intelligence bonus with net running. I think you could use I personally, as a DM, think you can use the same DV tables that you have for skill checks as Netrunner DV skill checks for architects and things, and it works just fine. Yes, there's some things you have to change, because if you don't change any of the stuff in the back end, a netrunner with any intelligence is always going to be better.
So,
But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand that completely, but does that change much?
okay, yes and no. Okay, and so I think, and maybe this is derailment, so by any means, any point in time, stop me,
oh no,
Diamond.
go
I,
ahead.
I personally think at some point in time, every role in Cyberpunk is kind of specialized around a certain stat. Now, executive, not so much. That did kind of change with the overhaul of executive in a lot of good ways.
There was
But
an
Fixer, yeah, there was a distinct change with.
we're talking for 2020 to Red, because like, was there an update to the exec
Sorry.
role that I didn't know? It's like,
Sorry.
we gotta get
Everything-
Ghost on that.
As a disclaimer, everything I'm about to say is from a 2020 player's mindset coming over to Red.
Okay.
So every class, even in 2020, was kind of built around a certain stat. That was your core stat to a certain degree that you were going to kind of need. Or maybe you're like your pseudo kind of 3. Intelligence was big for a netrunner because of how quickly they had to think, how quickly they had to process information, making programs, and a lot of intelligence was the go-to, and it works. Okay, it worked great. Now they changed that in Red, so you can make your netrunner anything. You don't need to have such a core stat, and that's great. Same thing with Rocker Boy and everything else, but there are still, with some of these roles, a core stat required for the class. I understand the mindset from the mayor about you don't want to add intelligence because it just makes the DVs obnoxious, but let's build the tech around the entire thing I said we're not going to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
now,
I get your. I definitely understand your point. Do you find you have a lot of netrunners coming up that are like low intelligence netrunners, though, that are kind of gaming the system, where they're like, I don't actually need intelligence because I just don't. I mean, I just don't see those at the table. You know what I mean? That's
to answer that real quick, tech as a stat and maker does not affect programs. It specifically states it only affects electronic and hardware-based things. So if you want to get real technical by the book ruling, hypothetically here, there's no way tech's going to help you with programs. Okay, you would need a specialty stat, a skill called meta under your science skills, which is going to be intelligence-based. Library search, how quickly you look through a data library or looking things up online, is intelligence-based.
Yeah.
Now, I think if you want to be that really smart person and really good with stuff, having the intelligence stuff helps. Maybe there's a drug that only gives you a temporary bonus with your intelligence or stuff to make you better at decrypting, passwords. A backdoor check to get by a password should totally be something I'm smart at. I'm good at logical programs.
I'd like to throw something out there, and I actually learned this one from fellow GM Emeron. Emeron learned this, actually. I think this actually came from James Hutt when he was out at Gen Con. That great big convention that everybody was out at, which I wish I could have made it to. But apparently, you can, like, one thing I've decided to pick up on doing. Don't worry, it's okay. I like the train of thought. We're getting there. You can use your extra skills, and I could possibly see if you could justify maybe, hey, can I use like science meta, or could I use, electronics to, gain a +1 on my interface check? Like, I'd be all for it. So, intelligence and tech would still be important for a netrunner. Like for me, when I played as Dia, my GM would, be like, okay, you want to re-roll this check? I need a justification for why. It's like, well, I understand meta, so can I make a meta check to see if I know what maybe I need to take a different approach. And it gave me a +1 bonus on my next attempt of trying to get through on my interface.
hey, I'm really good at cryptographs.
Yep.
I understand now the
cryptography.
logic they're using on their backdoors because I just I've destroyed 2 of them so far. Can are they using a similar type of password setup on these other passwords? Make a check. Let's see. Okay, cool. Oh, all right.
Like,
Yeah, you get a bonus on it. You understand the company's here's the requirements for your password, so you can narrow down your password searches.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me that you would get that kind of bonus or be able to roll like that kind of thing. I always try to encourage my players or have I players I only have one table, but
still your players.
yeah, but try to encourage them to take um, custom skills. I don't think we're still very early in the campaign and stuff like that, but I would really like to see some of my players take custom skills. And I think sometimes players are hesitant to do that because they're worried that the GM's just not going to call for it. Because they're, if it's not perception, if it's not the things that the GM usually calls for, are they going to forget that I have this science thing and forget to call for it when it comes up? And I think that's why players are sometimes hesitant to take custom skills. But I think that kind of just falls to the player to try to remind the GM, or it falls to the GM to try to bring it up as much as possible. I think, or try to introduce things that matter for. But the players also just need to kind of be like, "Hey, can I use this skill? This is what I do," kind of thing, right? So it's definitely on the GM, but it also just players shouldn't be shy about being like, "Oh, would this work in this circumstance?" I guess.
I mean, like, I know when I made tequila, I wanted to give him the ability to do drunken boxing, like just drunk fighting, because it kind of fit with the aesthetic. He's an alcoholic, but we never got the opportunity to map it out or build any special martial arts skills. And because looking at the martial arts stuff, it's like you require a will of 8 or higher, and a bunch of other things that I don't have. Kind of made it a moot point. So
martial arts is one of those that like I understand it a little bit, but it's one of those that like I've seen. I've had a few players come to the table doing linear frame sigma or linear frame beta martial arts, high decks. Martial arts is a nightmare of it's still a beast that I'm still trying to get control of, because like I have a hard time dealing with martial artists as a GM.
It's very powerful. It's very powerful. There are a couple of those martial arts that seem you would have to like very much specialize in them, or go like from character inception, be like, this is what I'm going to do, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to one thing I kind of allow is just like you can call your martial arts whatever. Like let me know what it is, like what you're taking, like if it's Aikido or Judo. But if you want to call it whatever you want, like for flavor, go right ahead. Because I don't want players to be like limited into thinking like, oh, I have to fight. Like if I'm fighting with martial arts, it's this very East Asian style of fight. If you want to be like MMA or something like that, like because that fits your character better, and you just want to take like Aikido or something or Judo or whatever, like go for it. But we'll color it differently when we're actually playing. You know what I mean? That seems to be the easiest way than trying to create. I've like looked at creating some brand new martial arts or something like that. It does just seem easier to just change the name of it, really, and just kind of color it differently with like the descriptions, personally. But that's my opinion.
I wonder though if maybe at some point, just maybe, R.Tal might do an expansion on martial arts.
I think John's doing it.
I think so. I think I've heard a little something on that.
Stuff on Twitter about that.
But like I think there was a couple other options. Though
look how
something
small the community is.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess something else that I was gonna throw out there is, and I might do this much more at like tables that I don't know if I'd be ready to bring this out to like public games and whatnot, but there are, some folks that I know that have built, very custom roles that, they still work, and you need like Dice's breaker role that he made. You still need a netrunner around. You can't just, do all the shit by yourself. But you're very much more like that 90s hacker of I'm in, or, listening in on what the cops are talking about. For me, I'm working on a role called the Augmentist, where it's very much, sure, you can do surgery on yourself. You can put stuff inside yourself, because I was inspired off Adam Jensen, where, all he needs is some praxis kits and he can upgrade himself. Just do it at home, kind of deal. He never asked for it though. I never asked for this. But
I asked for a double with cheese.
However, like with Augmentus though, like you have such an affinity for cyberware. You take a little less humanity loss, but at the same time though, at the end of the day, you can't put things in other people. You don't know what other people are like. You don't know. You take the cyberware real well. You're built a little different, as Mr. Martinez would say, but your humanity's still going down, and that's gonna get away from you, because I'm looking at this like this role could be a slippery slope of someone getting the tin shakes real bad. But that's still something that I've got cooking on the fire. But also, by the way, I thinking on your weapon idea, by the way, Jim, I'm still on it. I think we can make it work. We could. Yeah.
Because I know the session before we jumped on Elflines for that little bit, I think we had one of Sparks' people working on making bootlegs of the handgun that Trinity eventually got.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that'll be nice to have for the big giant final showdown, depending on what happens. So yeah.
By the way, the sex system street case, I've discovered the value of that, and I would recommend that for any non-combatant edge runner in the future. Just drop a smoke grenade at will to hide yourself.
Yeah,
Well,
but then if they have
Ezra's used that a couple of times.
No, I want to make a net runner with a paintball gun.
Acid ball by chance?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, you're gonna use some acid ball by chance?
100%.
Really? Oh boy, someone's getting smart to it.
We bought some and thinking we would have the opportunity to hit people with the paintballs. That or like a sedative. I know we were trying to take people unconscious and interrogate them when they woke up. But I don't think we ever had the opportunity to let loose with some paintballs in Shanghai.
When you say they're acid balls, you mean corrosive acid or psychedelic?
Yes.
You can do a lot of things with it. Typically, the first design of them in 2020 you saw was actually a corrosive acid design way for a cheap, effective way to whittle down either ACPA or heavily armored anti-riot forces, so you could, the lower caliber people could still be effective. As playing a netrunner, I don't want to necessarily make it very physical combat heavy. I still want to be able to help the group. As one person sitting and buying combat like, you guys are doing great, isn't really going to be helpful for a group mechanic. But somebody who is doing things to either help the more melee characters or the more ranged characters be more effective. Because there's a gun Diamond has.
Which one?
Name of it. Okay. The Diamond Tech Elude.
Ah,
Fires
yes, the
3
elude.
rounds.
Yeah, that's the little assassin gun that I had made. It's
Now,
more of a flavor gun than anything.
it's a wonderful flavor gun, and I absolutely love it because it can use poison rounds. And if you can use poison rounds, I'm wondering if you can use poison and
Biotoxin. Yep.
biotoxin. And at that point, I just want corrosive bullets for it. I don't really care the damage it does. I just want to hit them and destroy their armor.
A bozo with some LSD paintballs would be kind of cool.
That's another thing that actually you saw in some story things in 2020, because there was even air hypo guns that you could shoot actually dart-based things. And it's like, well, I want to hit people with sedatives. I want to hit people with biotoxin. I want to hit people with drugs. I want to hit people with air. Because having 20 cc's of air injected somewhere into your body is not going to be good no matter what.
No, that's very, very bad.
Yes.
Well, one other thing with the Diamond Tech elude, which for anybody who's wondering what the fuck Diamond Tech is, basically my character, my Netrunner, has this front called Diamond Tech. Basically, she goes out, she steals schematics for weapons from other weapon developers, or steals cyberware, whatever the fuck she gets her hands on, runs back with it, and her and a tech buddy of hers would make this stuff and put it out on the market. Of course, not allowing the boys back at R&D at whatever place that she stole it from have those files, unless they pay a mighty fine price, which nobody's ever paid the ransomware, which oh well. But yeah, the elude, basically it's a little, you know how we have the medium pistol that does 2d6? What if I told you I made a slightly more useless gun? Okay, maybe not useless, but still a slightly more useless gun. The Diamond Tech elude, it is a rate of fire 3 pistol, but it only does 1d6 damage, but it can fire poison rounds, so that 1d6 can turn into 3d6, and if you do biotoxin, it can become 4d6. So all in all, you could just have a very heavy pistol sitting in your pocket. So you sneak into that event where that target is, that exec who definitely would not be wearing a helmet at a corporate function. You pop that out, you shoot 3, because, well, shooting at someone, it's only rated fire 3, but you aim for the head with this because it's only a -6 penalty instead of a -8 penalty. It's still a little more useless than the medium pistol, I think, but it's a flavor gun at the end of the day. Because it's at the low price of what, $50, $100?
500.
Oh, it's 500. It's 500 because I allow it to use exotic ammunition. I allow it to use some other stuff in there.
Which I was like, yeah, okay. Looking through all your stuff,
Yeah.
everything else, programs and things like that. Yeah, I Netrunner. Netrunner Tech can use the help.
Of course, for any of the shotgun fanatics, we have the double time, which it's a double barrel shotgun. It's sawed off. Definitely not up to ATF standards, but because of its break action capability, it comes at a pretty high price. You can reload the 2 cartridges while moving, just as a move action. You fire once, and while you're running away, you can reload that tube again. But I wonder what kind of body would it take to handle the lever action shotgun from Terminator, from the biker scene.
Wasn't that a
I
lever
wouldn't
action?
say, yeah, it was a lever action. I wouldn't say that you needed a great big body to use it, because you could, with that Ranger loop attached to it, you can flip cock it and do whatever. It's a shotgun, so whatever the requirement for a shotgun is.
I mean, two hands. I just wonder if because I'd like to build an exotic shotgun that it's a it requires 2 hands by most, but if you reach a certain body requirement, You can one-hand that bad boy. I don't know if that'd be like a body 10 or maybe a body 12 or like 11 or higher. No?
Well,
What do you
I also think like it's either a 12 gauge or a 20 gauge. I remember seeing the same thing in New Vegas, and it was like a 20 gauge shotgun.
Diamond, ha- ha-
Sasha.
have you ever seen the Expendables?
Yeah.
The explosive shotgun from that, maybe?
Oh,
I think that was.
Basically-
Oh wait, the
basically rapid fire.
AA-12. Oh, that is a. That would be like a tsunami on like steroids.
that would be tsunami, but instead of assault rifle ammunition, it uses shotgun cartridges instead, or shotgun shells.
Yeah.
But Ock, I saw you shaking your head there. Did you have maybe a suggestion on like the body stat to one-hand it?
I think so if you have a cyber limb, and I'm just going to throw this out
Mhm.
there, can you lock it in place?
So sort of like what Johnny's Malorian does to his arm.
Okay, and that was actually a feature actually in 2020 Cyberware.
Really?
Was
Okay.
yeah. Not everything should be 2020. Okay, I don't want anybody to think that that's well. This guy just has this mindset. If it wasn't in 2020, then no, that's not it. There's a tech thing there.
Mhm.
Hypothetically, it was an upgrade you can get in your arm to actually lock it in place, and was needed for some of the very heavy weapons.
Reinforced
And
cyber arm.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, hypothetically, if you have a cyber limb, I totally think you should be able to maybe do that one-handed, assuming that's something a tech can do. You don't need a frame or anything else, and that means, in my opinion, it'd be body of 8, because hypothetically, by game stats, once you have a cyber limb, you do roughly this much damage, which is kind of on par with a body of 8.
That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense to me, intuitively.
Okay. Because I was kind of working that idea, but not sure like where to go, what to bounce it off of. Because I like the idea of playing a biker, like nomad, but reskinned as like either like a gang biker or even even a nomad, but like they got their shotgun in the in a scabbard on the bike.
Side holster.
Yeah. And they're the knight on the street with an iron steed, and come charging by, blast a few shells into the alleyway, and pepper the gangers as they go by.
I think maybe, like, I guess to me, in my mind's eye, the idea of complex actions and the whole body stat 8 being the human maximum without augmentation gets underplayed a lot with a whole lot of you need a body 12, you need a body 10, you need a body 14. So, maybe like Ogre in chat, maybe one-handed body 6. Maybe you're at a -2 though, because it's still kind of complex. The kickback and shock behind it. Body 8, I think, should, if it got utilized a lot more, you might see less players min-maxing for a linear frame just to do things they need a body 12 to do when they really should only need like a body 8 maybe, or 10. But that's all up to the ref's world and how they want to play it due to the the substance of that style.
Which, I mean, if you guys have a tech in the group, I think now that I'm a little more comfortable with invention, and like I've also kind of gotten to a point where I can understand, how to, where to draw lines, especially with techs and their invention. I would be able to, I think I'd be able to, because, like, for example, like, the Tommy Knocker, I think, is a great example of this, because I think the Tommy Knocker is it can be one-handed. Or no, I think it has a body stat to fire the shotgun without it flying out of your hands or something.
Something like that, I think.
But I know we're kind of going every which way. But like with this upcoming group, I would like to explore maybe finding a different. I don't know. Like we'll still have to talk about this, but like, do we want to go a little bit more open world with it? Like, just see where the street takes you, or would you rather we still had a direct story to what we were doing?
I mean, I'm fine with it kind of being just see where things take us. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Night City is a really big city, so you could pretty much we could go anywhere in Night City, and it would be just as unique as Ox game or my game or anything else. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. It'll be interesting to see,
And
and we can have all that stuff
yeah,
everywhere.
like if it's like see where the street takes you, it's going to be very much, instead of you guys following the drone, this is the drone with the camera following you guys. Is what it's going to be.
Don't look at me! Don't look at me!
Don't mind me.
I'm-
I'm just the camera woman. What's up, Bach?
I think sometimes in campaigns that works great, especially if like as the players hear what certain characters are doing, they're like, I want in on that. Message them, hey man, what you up to? Oh, cool. Can I meet you there? Yeah, because people want to start getting into that story, and I think it helps the characters find a certain amount of groove in their own personal story within the world, and gives, I think, that you or the DM much more opportunity to be like, oh, what? Oh, that's a wonderful idea. Yeah, keep going with that, guys. Yeah, don't worry about me. I think it's gonna be fun.
Because, like, at the end of the day, when it comes to Cyberpunk, yeah, you have these great, big, giant, leading up to the Cataclysm or, absolute meltdown or breaking point. Like Cyberpunk Shanghai. Yeah, goofy adventure, but still, it was you guys dealing with some really serious situations, like a big, nasty biotoxin bomb. That had a few other bad boys loaded in there.
Yeah.
ELO, like you guys, leading up to the heist fails, and now you guys are deciding that Segatari is going to get what's coming around to them. And
yeah.
like some groups, I would have to lead the story, which that's okay. But I do think with all of us, where we have a little bit more of a grasp of Night City and what we're doing, I would definitely be game to like have you guys take the wheel, and it's gonna be very much yes and go from there. See what you guys got to throw at me.
How do you find that as a GM? Do you prefer kind of improving and kind of working with things as they come, and then you probably have to do a lot of kind of theater of the mind stuff, or do you prefer kind of getting the chance to lay out a gig more fully?
I like to lay out gigs, but I like to organically place gigs into the setting, so that way we have an understanding of where things are going. Like what I did with one group, things got really, really hard to find, and it kind of led up to the point of having got a Stitch to Wear from Tales of the Red.
I've played it. Yep.
It's a nice little fast gig to, basically your troubleshooters trying to unclog the system. And, well, you meet probably one of the saddest, scummiest execs. I don't think I've met an even more scummy exec than the one I had to play for that. But he was also a real fucking sad case. Sitting there with fucking tail between his legs. But,
I got a pizza in the oven.
oh,
He forgot about his pizza in the oven.
oh, not the pizza.
Pizza.
Also, exec. I recently picked up exec, and I hot take: execs can be edge runners. They can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And plus, it's kind of nice to actually have like employees. It's just like, I gotta take care of this person also. Like, they're helping me, but I need to help them. And like the way like Sasha like plays as Ghost in my Wednesday night group. Like Ghost has been taking pretty good care of her driver. You've paid that person more than I've seen any exec pay their driver. But I've seen some people get so upset when somebody brings an exec to a table. It's just like, oh.
But why though?
Because corporate evil. It's just like, there's
I have a.
what's up?
No, I interrupt you. Please finish that.
Well, it's just like not all execs are bad.
Most. A strong majority.
I have an easier time filling the exec into the group for the reason why than the fixer as a player character of the group.
Mm-hmm. The the only role I refuse to play is lawman. And that's just because, IRL, I do deal with the issue of backup not coming to help me, especially when I've ended up in some bad spots. And, if I was to play lawman, it's very much I might be going more towards working for one of the protection gangs, whether that be Street Queens or maybe 6th Street. Not sure about 6th Street.
Well, one of the players in the podcast we're supposed to be getting back in October because we had some COVID issues and some personal things that came up with one of the players. One of the players is a lawman, but like in the additional options, we changed it over to where he is a member of a gang. So when he gets into trouble and stuff, he can just call the gang to come in and help out, and that's how we play that. I mean, that's probably what you would be looking for, right?
That's fair. You could technically play a lawman without actually being part of the NCPD.
Yeah.
Well,
You don't have to be a part of the law.
I mean, even like Danger Gal, like maybe you call in other agents to come help you, or other allies nearby. I mean, even the zoners, like some of them are lawmen, even, and they're firefighters first.
Yeah.
Which I find that impressive that we, actually like we've never really touched on fire departments before in Cyberpunk, but then again, like I mean, it I don't know. Though something that I like, it's a supplement I am planning on working on though is like a tax squad supplement where it's very much you and your group play as a tax squad and you are going to be running through like series of like basically it's something that a GM can pick up and like create different scenarios whenever they need it.
I'm sorry, you're saying tax squad?
Yeah, tax TAC squad. Tax squad.
Oh, tax squad.
Yeah.
Oh, I was imagining people going around collecting taxes.
I mean,
that would be fun too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Tax man.
Like, hey, you're on our turf. We understand you're a corp, but where the fuck's our money?
Yeah.
I told them it would be there yesterday.
It's like you tell all your boys over at Zarafa that this building's going to get an eviction real fucking soon if you don't fucking watch yourself. Which but yeah, like I mean, lawman. I think at most I would probably play under like protection gang. Just because I can't do the gangster. I just can't play a ganger that well. I can play a street rat well. I can play, I could probably play a lawman pretty well. probably like, you know, but then again, it would probably be very much based on personal experience. Like you're getting the burnt out security guard who still,
That's always fun.
but trying to think what other roles do we have? We have an exec coming in, where and that's with Jack playing that. Which, by the way, with the kind of exec Jack's playing for N54, I've already started working on a whole circuit of other opponents. By the way, who's the fucking wrestling fan amongst the group? Like the one that's just gonna be like, you know, this ain't wrestling. Back in the old days of wrestling.
Throwing chairs and shit. This ain't wrestling.
I didn't hear no goddamn bell.
Coming for the top ropes.
Hell yeah, brother. Let me tell you what.
Oh yeah, totally. We'd be doing that.
I mean,
Was it the Raging Cajun sensation?
yes, but of course you will be getting Bone Breaker, Breaker of Bones.
Oh,
Breaker
Breaker
of
of
Bones?
Bones?
Yes. There will be a return of the Iron Sight, who seems to be a little bit more good-natured than most of them, but still just a little bit of the bad tin shakes going on. A lot of the bad tin shakes going on. By the way, that is a group I was a little bummed to not see show up in Danger Gal. I wanted to see who the Iron Sights were, because I think, you know, with them being associated with Arasaka, why would they not be in Danger Gal's dossier?
I mean, Arasaka isn't in Night City in 2045, so...
Yeah, the Iron Sights were a group of prototype soldiers turned gangsters that were under Arasaka's thumb.
No, so they're like the guys from my... Well, they're all, what you call it? RMC Geminis.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Guys have been operating since the first South Am War.
Oh. Oh. Mm.
I remember back in the day, we had to go down there. You don't know what it's like trying to cross Panama.
Literally, it's fucking brutal trying to get into South America if you go on foot. I didn't realize
Only
there's
a
no
little,
highway.
just a
There's
little.
no highway. There's about 130 meter area, or 130 kilometer area where there's no highway. The Dungar Pass or something like that. I thought there was a highway that ran all the way from North America to South America, but there's not. There's no roads. It's crazy. I had no idea.
That's how you keep the colonizers out.
So, it sounds like Trinity, she's either going to be playing a stoner, is it like, what, stoner nomad? Or, no, we already have a stoner, or it was a stoner solo. Or she had one other thought, Kiwi did. And then, what was what was Sean thinking? I think he was the wrestling fan. I think that he was the wrestling.
He was the fan.
But I'm trying to remember what he played, what he was thinking of playing. But that'll come up in due time. But I suppose until then, I think this might be a good spot for us to wrap up for the day.
Yeah, sounds good.
Which, of course, come back next week for part 1 of our finale. You know, episode 34, and then episode 35 after. And we're going to see, do they survive attacking basically this construction site? Do they get to knock down this building before they finish putting up basically NPC generator as a thought? Just AI enhanced PC generation. That's all it was. Maybe.
Yeah, totally. That's definitely all
Definitely not people with tubes.
Yeah.
Oops.
Tubes. And also, of course, last but not least, as always, if you guys are not following us over on YouTube, go follow Cybernation Uncensored on YouTube. We're on Spotify too. That's where I listen to all our episodes, is on Spotify when I'm at work. Trying to think where else we're at. Oh, by the way, we're on Discord. Just come hang out on Discord. We have all sorts of great games going on, so come on over.
No, I just want to take this opportunity as we're kind of coming to the end of this kind of fluid session or this kind of talk session. Like, we just really appreciate our audience. I hope they know that. I know
Yeah.
we're chatting with them every week in the chat, but I think the extended audience too. I always want to make a point of kind of calling them out. Those of us that can't catch up when we're live, that kind of catch us later on YouTube and Spotify, as Diamond said. We really appreciate you all. I know, like, we're always calling out people in the chat and hanging out with people here during the day when we can. We love that, but we also really appreciate you all who come and check us out later and who have been following our story. It's wicked. We really appreciate you, and thank you for coming along this journey with us.
If it weren't for you viewers, we wouldn't be able to do this. So, and that's to both live viewers and, as Nick said, people who are listening to us or watching us later on.
Well, like I said, to the viewers like you, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got several friends who catch up later and tell me. So I know that people are doing it, and they know what's going on. Like they ask me questions about the story and stuff. So we really appreciate you all. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think on that note, we're going to sign off a little bit early today. But, and also, I guess last but not least, a big thank you to everyone higher up in CNU for putting up with my madness so far. I know I probably pushed a few different lines of boundaries, especially in regards to, like, over at Cyberpunk Shanghai with a rocket cock. But, I think we've had others. What's up, Jim?
That's a First Amendment thing. We have the right to yell out rocket cock whenever we want.
Go!
I just want to do one last shout out to our wonderful GM Diamond Dust, who also wouldn't be here without her.
I mean, you can be here,
she has
I guess.
Just the right kind of chaotic shenanigans in her games that keep things interesting.
And
keep us all on the edge of our seats.
And you're running games on Start Playing now, so if some of our audience or members wanted to, they have an opportunity to go on startplaying.com and sign up for your games.
I might consider opening up again on Friday afternoons. It's just primarily Wednesdays are the only ones that seem to really pick up.
I would definitely recommend checking Diamond out on Start Playing, because she is fairly cheap if you book in advance, and she's a very experienced GM for Cyberpunk.
Really knows how to have fun.
I mean, and that all girls want is to have fun.
Yes, I believe the great sage and poet Cyndi Lauper once said, "Girls just want to have fun. That's all what they really want."
All right. But I think on that note, before we get smacked with the hey, don't copyright that hammer. Later today we have today is the wedding of Alley Cats and Hades on Sirenscape at 4 p.m. All right. And also, I guess last notes, if you still want more Cyberpunk from me, well, I guess come find me, I guess. I don't know. Sure. Like, my channel is like on the socials.
Yeah, so, there might be some things that are in
motion. What?
In motion that people would probably be shocked about.
Until then, friends, I'll see you around. Bye!
See y'all later. Keep